Hi, folks. Welcome to Unboxing Work by Layer Success. I'm Carl. I'm here with Richard Sather. Richard is a lifelong learner. He's been an architect, he's an Asana consultant and trainer. I'll let Richard make his introduction and we will go from there.
Thanks, Carl. Yeah, hi. So I'm Richard Sather. I'm an Asana solutions partner. Basically, what I do is I consult, train, and help uh, Asana users implement their Asana, optimize their Asana. Maybe we should say what Asana is in case anyone doesn't know. It's a work management tool, all online, that helps teams and businesses coordinate, essentially map all their work processes and save huge amounts of time. So we can obviously get into that detail as well. But yeah, that's what I pretty much do day to day. But happy to get into the details.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that, Richard. And for the audience, if you don't know already, I worked at Asana for about 4 years. I am also an Asana solutions partner. So we have a biased group of Asana nerds here. So we're going to be talking about Asana a little bit, but we will try to learn more about, you know, who you are, Richard, and, what kind of processes you have on the day to day. Well, you had the explanation, and I'm sure a lot of the audience understood it, but imagine I was a 10-year-old. You had to then give me that definition of who you are and what you do on the professional side. How would you do that?
Right. Okay. So I guess day to day is at home, working from home. I am in my home office with my Legos and my Star Wars stuff behind me. And it's basically working online with customers. I feel it's almost face to face. It's actually, some people think, oh, you work from home, it's kind of lonely. Well, no, it's not, because I'm, meeting 5, 6 people a day online. That would be a busy day, right? Usually I'll have like 3 or 4 calls, but maybe, so these calls will be for half an hour, maybe some might be 90 minutes for the brave ones that can stand me for that long. Usually their heads explode, so we usually have a break halfway. But yeah, we basically, most of these are either one way or another, right? So either I will be training, so conducting a training to a large group of people. Those are quite fun as well. We usually try and keep it fun, interactive, but that's usually towards the end of an engagement, right, with a customer. So at the beginning of the engagement, I'll work with the key stakeholders of the company, perhaps the CEO, maybe C-level people, usually in the ops sort of teams. And those will be the other sort of side of the sessions that we'll have with the champions, right? So these would be one-to-one sessions or small group of people, basically. So I guess you said, say to a 10-year-old, the 10-year-old, I probably would have lost him by now.
I was going to say, I'm a 10-year-old genius if I got this one.
So I guess it's to strip it down for a 10-year-old would be, I'm at a computer, I'm talking to people, helping them improve the way they work.
Oh,
Quite
that's
simply.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, I have to interrupt and talk a little bit about Star Wars. You said Star Wars and Legos, and I know they cross quite a bit.
Yeah.
This is a hot take or hot question for you.
Okay.
If you had to lose one of them, which one would you keep?
Is I can already hear our viewers screaming at us, right? No, Lego, no, Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is a legacy, but I think with my architectural background, and I think what made me who I am today, I think Lego had a very, very heavy influence on me on that. So I would keep Lego, I think.
Oh, that's a good answer. I
Controversial,
probably
maybe.
would choose like that is controversial, and I'm not even gonna bring the Star Trek people.
No, no,
From
Star Trek and we're okay, but I'm a F1 fan. That's Ayrton Senna's Formula One back there.
oh yeah,
I'm a big Formula
well,
One fan, but I think I'd still put Lego at the top of all that.
well, being stateside, Formula One is kind of like slowly creeping. There's been a few races in Miami, I know in Austin, so
And
I
Vegas.
followed, but not as much as I would have wanted to, because I am a racing fan. But you started to transition a little bit into how you got here. You mentioned architecture and how that's connected to Lego. Tell me a little bit about how you got here. Like, what's your journey? What
Right.
was your
So,
journey?
okay. So I was an architect, as in an architect designing buildings, for a good 20 years, a very long, interesting career. And towards the end of that career, I was working on a mega project in the Middle East where it was very demanding. I mean, architecture generally is a very complicated and very demanding profession, right? And it's for the brave, and it's for the one, you got to love what you do, right? Otherwise, forget it. Don't even go there. Um, but yeah, I was just so huge mega project, 10 metro stations, like subway stations, basically. Um, a lot of stakeholders. I had a small team of, well, small, but 15 people, 15 architects. And I was sitting there one weekend, Carl, and I was up to my neck in emails, constantly updating those Excel sheets. And this was 2018. And I'm thinking, I can't work like this anymore. There must be a better way. Like, I can't just have Microsoft Office in my life. Like, there must be other tools out there, because that's all we had: Microsoft Office and Skype for Business back then, which became Teams. Um, so that's where I started dabbling around. I won't lie, I didn't go straight for Asana at the beginning. I did dabble around with more controversy, other tools as well. But I think I ended up using Asana for the simplicity, the UI, which wasn't as attractive as it is now. I think I mean, it's come across leaps and bounds. Like, we're like I'm talking about, like, oh boy, 8 years ago. Wow, time flies. 2018.
You
uh, yeah, so I found Asana. I fell in love with it. I got my team on it. I think within the second day, I realized and they realized that no one's going to send an email to each other ever again. there was it just took over, right? There's no need. There's a task in Asana. This is what we use. It just made sense. It clicked. It clicked with the team as well. I don't know. Maybe it's like architects like have an inclination towards organization and structure and hierarchy, and the modularity of Asana is what I loved, and tying that back to Legos as well. For me, it is Lego blocks that you just build, put together. And I remember telling a client I was working with the other day who was just blown away with what we've built. And I'm like, Tom, isn't this like, don't you feel like you're building an app? Like, it's almost, you're putting all these building blocks together, and building your own internal system. And that's exactly how I felt. And I got such a buzz out of it that I went ahead and implemented it for my last employer, basically. And I realized I enjoyed that more than designing buildings. I found my new passion, let's say. I mean, architecture is my love, but I found my new passion, I guess.
Wow, that's said like a true Asana geek. I
I
fell in love on
totally
the first
geeked
day.
out.
It took over the second day. We no longer started using emails. I found my true passion. This is
Yeah.
not sponsored by Asana, anyone. We're just a couple of Asana geeks here. Well, I guess you made that transition, right? I want to ask,
Well, it
is
wasn't
there?
an easy transition. I mean,
Oh yeah. Well, then see what
well, I
happened.
mean, you're doing a profession for 20 years. You can't fathom doing it. Like, I'm not going to become a dentist tomorrow, right? Or you and I guess, I don't know, maybe it's the old school in me, but I mean, kids nowadays that come out of uni and or they don't go to uni, or anyway, that's another conversation. But we came out of uni, and the expectation was get a 9 to 5 job, and I guess you just stick with it. I mean, I never thought I'd change career all of a sudden, and it maybe not all of a sudden, but I think just building that Asana space for my previous employer, who was an architect's office, a large one, 60 people. And man, did we geek out on that, Carl. I mean, we built everything, HR, finance. It wasn't just the architect department. It was full blown. And it completely changed how they worked. And I think that was like really inspiring and very rewarding. And I thought, wow, I mean, I really enjoyed this. What if I could do this for all these other companies that could benefit from that? And I guess I got to a point where thinking, look what I built in a few months. Whereas like with architecture, it's a fantastic profession, don't get me wrong. But from napkin sketch to walking in the actual thing can be years, right? We're talking like at least 3, 4, 5 years. And maybe I just ran out of patience a bit with that. And I just wanted to just build faster and empower people as well.
Wow, so many questions. Okay, you said so many good things here. So I'm going to start for the folks who are probably thinking about transitioning from one place to another. They might see themselves in you. I have 2-part question here. One,
Okay.
how old were you when you decided to make that transition? And 2, how long did the transition take?
Okay, so yeah, I've been working as an architect from 21 years old. So I was, I guess, 41 when I made the transition, I guess, the move 3, 4 years ago. Anyone's good at math? I'm 45 currently.
Like, what? You made it when you were in the future? No, go ahead.
So, no, I mean, the transition was, I gave it a good thought. And you know what? It's not just a transition in the career, but it's also a transition from a steady job, a steady salary, and jumping into the unknown, right? It sounds quite risky. It's quite a leap of faith. So the transition was, well, what do you call the transition? I mean, it's really from one day to the other, you change employer, right? But in this case, getting the business set up, finding who I am, what I want to sell, the business model. I had some great people and advisors, other solution partners as well. Bastian Sipman, for example, from IDO. And IDO supported me as well in my early days. Again, completely leap of faith there. They put me, in front of customers, and you get some imposter syndrome, right? You gotta kind of pretend like, yeah, sure, I've done this 100 times, and it's your first training, and you're like, hope this goes well. But I think I think this applies to everyone. If you know something really well, you're confident about what you do. I mean, even with architecture, I remember presenting during crits. If you know your design and you're proud of it, and you're confident presenting it at the end of the day, and you're confident then delivering a training session or a consulting session after. So transition was tricky. Yeah, I mean, I won't lie. There were points that my first 2-3 months where maybe cash flow is drying up, and it's not coming in as fast as you were hoping, and you're like, I remember sitting on the balcony thinking, oh no, what have I done? Like, is this gonna work? Or but you got to stick to it, I guess. You got to stick to it. Yeah. And keep on going at it, believing in yourself, obviously. And I know it sounds cliche, but yeah, it worked out in the end. So I'm very, very lucky, very appreciative of the people that supported me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I feel like this is very close to home right now because I've just started. I'm in my 3rd month or 4th month. And as I'm doing this, I'm like, wow, what did I do? Yeah. I left the job where someone paid me and they were like, here's your paycheck, versus me having to be the salesperson, the marketing person, and the consultant, right? Doing the building and negotiating all that. So yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Well, keep on going, Cole. You'll do great.
Hey, and if it doesn't work, I'll have great hosts on this little podcast. Oh yeah, podcast game is very competitive right now, so we might have to start saying spicy takes to get it to go. really want to switch now to you've made the switch. You're in Asana and you're an Asana consultant, trainer. You've worked your way to be a solutions partner. What are some of the things you do at work that you're excited about that brings you joy? You started talking about it, but if you can elaborate, like what do you enjoy doing every day?
Um, I think, I mean, talking and meeting different customers as well. It's not. I don't think there's a lot of. Well, I could be wrong, but it's like with architecture as well. Every few months you get a new customer, you get a new project. It's not. It keeps it fresh, right? It's not mundane. You're not doing the same thing over and over again. Um, so I really enjoy, obviously, meeting people, hearing their pain points, and I'm a problem solver, right? I think architects are problem solvers at the end of the day. So, and I still feel like I'm an architect, right? I mean, I don't design buildings. I just design workflows now, a lot faster than I used to design buildings. Um, so problem solving is something I thrive on, I think. Hearing, people's issues and trying to fix it, I guess. Um, so yeah, I really enjoy empowering people and just showing them the wonders of Asana as well, like showing them how awesome this tool is, how much better it is than working in Excel or email or pinging people on Slack and Teams. Um, so yeah, especially you show them a feature, for example, they've never clicked into or they didn't even know Asana could do, and that jaw drop moment is really really cool. I mean, I always enjoy that, and seeing how happy they are, and especially seeing how proud they are of what they've built as well. Because one the default method is to I point, they do the clicking, right? They share a screen, the customer does that. But there is the other flip side as well, where I get to build, and it doesn't happen that often, but we'll do that for certain customers that just don't have the time, not the patience. They may have the knack for it, they just don't have the time, right? They just want, just build the system for us and just train us how to use it. But it's very tricky there because we always want to make sure that they're autonomous at the end of the day and can run their system, right? We don't want them to, married to your customer forever. We go into a partnership, we're there for them, but we don't want them to, call us up the minute anything breaks. We want them to know how to deal with that.
That's great. That's great. Sounds
So
like you're still building. you
yeah, I was gonna
you
say the
just
building
continue.
part. Yeah, I mean the building part is something that I love because it's like I can just block out time, go into a zone, and what do they say these days? Code vibe coding or whatever.
I
But I'm
coding,
just doing that in
blocking.
Asana basically, right? So I'm vibing in
That's
Asana, I
awesome.
guess.
That's awesome. Um, yeah, that's
So
really cool. And I know what you're talking about when you say you show them something that's there and they have never seen it. For the Asana geeks out there, I know this feature was has been out for a long time. I had a couple clients who were saying, "Hey, it would be great if I could take a task, get all the information, and turn it into a project. You should tell the Asana product team to do that. That would be so cool." I was like, you know what? I just spoke to them earlier today, and they did it right before I came here. I was joking, obviously, but then just there were at least 8 people on that call, and I think none of them had tried it. Like, hey, maybe I could convert this task into a project. Maybe I could right click on this task and see if that's there, or click the three dot
three
menu.
dots.
But it was
Yeah.
great to like show them that this one thing can be done. So that's great to hear. Now, you talked a little bit, you've talked, a lot about work and what you do, and I see you talked a little bit about F1 and Star Wars and Lego. What do you do outside of work? Where do you get your energy? And when you're like, okay, I'm done building, I need to do something else for myself. What does that look like?
To decompress, or well, I mean, just get out of the house for once, right? I mean, I don't get out much during the week, so yeah, definitely. The weekends, always enjoy the outdoors. I'm very lucky to live in. I'm based in Athens, in Greece. So we've got a beautiful country, a tricky city, but also A lot of nice, genuine places to go on the weekends. So yeah, just getting out and about as long as the weather's good and we're lucky. That's usually not an issue.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So just going out in the nature, I love that as well. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, just going for a walk
Yeah, yeah.
is is a big thing. Now this part, I don't think it's for the audience. It's just for me. When you say a tricky city, what do you mean by that? I've never been to Greece.
So, well, I mean, just tricky to navigate. I mean, it's not. It's okay. I mean, like every city, I guess, right? It's a bit noisy, it's a bit dirty, but it's also got a very, seductive side of it. There's hidden gems, there's nice bars and restaurants. But to get to like, good nature, you gotta drive out just a bit, maybe half an hour, and
No.
you're down by the coast on the beach. So yeah, it's just as long as you know where you're going. But
Yeah,
no, it's a great city.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Last question about Greece.
Yeah.
If I were to visit Greece this summer, what's one place I gotta go?
Well, everyone kind of like goes straight to the islands, right? Everyone's heard of Santorini and Mykonos,
Yeah.
and they are great islands, but there are some amazing other islands apart from the Cycladic Islands and the Aegean Sea. I started exploring the islands on the west coast and the Ionian, um, but I think what people do is forget about the city, Athens, as well, right? So they
Yeah.
kind of skip all that and go straight from the airport to the island. So definitely spend 3 4 good days in Athens for sure. A lot of historic sites, obviously. There's actually apparently 7 layers of Athens, right? Of the city.
Wow.
And yeah, one of my favorite places in Athens is actually the subway, the metro station. I love subways, so it wasn't, I think, by luck I ended working on one in the Middle East. But yeah, and you go down the subway and they've cut like cross sections through parts of, and you can see the layers of dirt and clay and pavement and roads and more dirt, and so it's you really see how much history there is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. History was my favorite course when I was growing up. So when you say Greece, I think of Athens. I don't think of Mykonos and
Okay, that's good.
the islands because that's like an adult, vacation thing where that becomes a fun thing. But when you're a kid, you're like, oh, Greece, the empire, like how did these different cities and conquer like big areas and sailing and doing
Yeah,
things that
yeah,
others haven't done?
yeah. Well, sometimes I say, where did it all go wrong? But we brought a lot, in culture, mathematics, philosophy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a troubled history, but we're doing well. I think I'm proud to be. I'm half Greek, half Canadian. Don't ask me anything about hockey, Carl, or baseball. We're not gonna have good fun there. Um, but yeah, no, I think yeah, the country's back on track and economy's pretty good. But again, like a consultant here, I work, 9 out of 10 of my customers are abroad. So how the Greek economy is doing is not too much to worry about.
Yeah.
But hopefully, yeah, it's a lot better. Um,
That's awesome.
but with the islands, there's islands for everyone, right? There's islands for us, Carl. They want to go for just a walk, or along the beach. But there, the party islands. There's islands for families, islands for the adults only. So there's something for everyone.
Little Instagram islands, right? The ones where you're gonna post
Oh
your
yeah, yeah,
legs
yeah. We
kicked
got
out in the sea or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
But I'd hate to leave the islands and get into processes, but this is called unboxing work, so we have to get into work and
for
leave the
sure.
islands and the subways and all the fun things. So if I were to kind of dig into what you do and specifically, how you work, how you organize your organization, your company, what are some of the processes that are happening every day? And we're gonna drill into a couple of them, but I want to understand like what are the processes that you have going on? I'm sure you're running them in Asana, but would love to hear a little bit and share with our audience.
Yeah, like you said, no surprise. My all our entire business is on Asana. So we use Asana for even as a light CRM, for example. You know, we're not maybe that large or CRM heavy to go into other tools like HubSpot or Salesforce. Um, it's not that it's the expense. It's just that we can do it in Asana, so why not? Um, and then we've got other tools like Calendly is saves me ton of time. So anyone doesn't know Calendly, it's a booking meetings. When you get these emails like, so can you share your availability? No, here's my Calendly link, so we can save each other 5 back and forth emails. Um, Obviously, you got to be. I watched a pretty good video on. You don't want to come across like, sorry, I haven't got time for you. Here's my Calendly link. Yeah. So you try and add, here's my Calendly link, and it looks like Thursday looks pretty good. Hopefully that works for you. I thought that's quite nice, so you don't come across like, I haven't got time to to have a few emails back and forth.
That's your Canadian side speaking right there. It's just, hey, I don't want to be too rude, but hey, here's some times. And
yeah, maybe I mean, especially when I think you haven't met someone yet and they don't know you, and all they have is an email and just text, and so how you craft that text, is quite important. To you may give the wrong impression off the bat. So we use Calendly for booking, and I think the other, I guess, the glue that holds everything together is Zapier. Is that what we say? Zapier or Zapier? Zapier, right?
you think it's Zapier because you create zaps.
It's a
This
Zap,
is
right?
how
Yeah.
that's what
Okay.
but I was saying Zapier for a long time.
I think I was as well, but okay, glad we cracked that one. So Zapier is amazing. I mean, we do all crazy stuff with that. So as an example, like a workflow, maybe customer lands on our website. Maybe they've got so it's got like a call to action button to schedule a call. That will take them to Calendly to schedule time and date when it's good for them, and that will then trigger a Zap in Zapier that will essentially create a task in Asana as a lead, and it will assign it to me. So I've got it in my calendar, sure, but as a lead, then we can start doing data enrichment based on their domain, their email, basically, checking out their website, pulling through data, for example, on any insights or latest news, which could be a nice icebreaker, for example. Obviously, we'll go through the website and understand the business and see, do our homework. But and then that task in Asana, we use it for notes, taking down notes, and it becomes a lead task. So subtasks can be built into there. The intro call, the follow-up call, any to-dos, send an email, and just use it like a CRM, like a sales log, basically, until we produce quotes. Quotes are also subtasks as well in the mix. So all our coding, all our invoicing, all the admin, all that fun stuff is all done in Asana.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So it sounds like you're doing most of the things in Asana. I'm doing the same as well. Using all that stuff at a smaller scale. So I can imagine I'm at a smaller scale than you are right now, and it makes even more sense, right? Because you don't need to buy these tools and you're paying them every month, and you're like, oh, I have this number of leads that came in. I could have just copied and pasted this, or I could have. But you talked about something with Zapier, and you talked about enriching the leads. So I'm going to pick this as the process that I want to go down into. How are you enriching the leads? And share as much or as little as you want. Are you using AI to connect this work, or are you, creating? Sounds like that's the rate. So I'm gonna let you take that question off.
Yeah. So this will. I mean, Zapier has AI powered, workflows now, and I mean, I use AI for vibe coding, things that I couldn't imagine I could have done not even a year ago, 6 months ago, right? Like insane. So AI comes into either, in Zapier, but in this particular workflow, like data enrichment for a customer, we'll do it in Asana using AI Studio. So AI Studio is AI powered rules, automations, as you know very well. I'm just explaining more to our audience that you essentially tell it three things. You tell it what it's good at, how it should do it, its job basically, and give it examples of what that output should look like. So a lead task comes in, and I'll tell the AI to use the domain as a lookup field, basically. Enable search the web on your AI Studio settings. Sure, it'll burn a few more credits, but totally worth it. And it will go and populate not just fields like field of work, for example. I've got a multi-select field of work. Are they in finance? Are they in the product? Are they marketing, IT? So we'll start tagging those based on what that company does, not necessarily what the team who are coming in for Asana do, right? It might be the marketing team, part of a bank, for example, right? So one thing and the other could be very, very different. So yeah, that AI rule just populates those fields, adds maybe a short description like employee size, who the CEO is, pulls this stuff usually from LinkedIn, just open sources that are already available.
That sounds good. I guess, I we could go down the AI rabbit hole. That's something that I've been diving in head first the last few months, like a lot of people in this space feeling like, hey, the future is going to revolve around AI. Let's get ahead of it. And the dilemma that I'm in right now, and you probably have thought about it, like, where do I put my AI engine, my AI solution, right? You mentioned, hey, I could do this in Zapier, but I could do this in Asana Studio, and I could do it even before it gets to any of those folks. And I can get all that information and connect it to Asana and then drop it in Asana, right? I can now Asana is working with Claude Work. So have you created somewhat of I guess, a rubric for yourself? Like, where do I want to connect the AI? And some of the things I'll share that I'm thinking about is like, where do I want that information to be? Do I want the information to be in Claude, where Claude can learn around itself, like about my activities, because it makes it easier for every other activity I do because Claude has that context, as opposed to I want to have it in Asana, and Asana's using Claude and using Chat GPT and all those things. They're essentially using the same backend, but now the information is in Asana, like, and the credits might be different, and all these things that you have to think through. I don't think I figured it out, but I'd love to hear like, what are your thoughts? And it doesn't have to be a fully formed thought, but as not just Asana and project and work management, collaboration management consultants, but I think the entire tech space is thinking, okay, where we have some of these players who are going to be winners, and they're essentially powering most of the AI, but we have to think about, when do we put them in the process, and how do we pay for them, because we may be double paying at times. So long-winded question, but want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of factors, right? I mean you mentioned a few. Is it credits? Am I paying this for for this tool or that tool? And it's starting to become very, very blurred, right? You've got Copilot in Edge, you've got Copilot here, there, you've got Claude. I think at the end of the day, it's like what works best for you or for the customer in that case. What is the ideal workflow? And ideally, there are all these integrations as well. So Claude, or through MCP now, and ChatGPT can pull data from Asana as well. Like you, I'm still dabbling with all this. It's all very new, very fresh. And, is it shiny object syndrome? Oh, we can do this now. But I'm always thinking like, always challenging, is it a nice to have, or is this really, really, useful and critical, let's say. Um, and I think the answer to that is really depending on the workflow, the person. At the end of the day, you want to keep things sort of simple, not overcomplicate. And yeah, sure, you could use Claude and ChatGPT, but it could be the other way around, because now we're getting AI teammates in Asana, which will do, what your ChatGPT or Claude are doing, or your Copilot, but directly into Asana. So AI teammates are agents basically that take what I mentioned before, AI Studio, basically a bot, a more rigid rule that thinks. But now with a teammate, it's a persona that you can assign a task to, and I've dabbled with it. It's crazy. I mean, you give it a persona, and it answers that question that you said before. You want it to have a memory context, and that's what that is. So now again, more choices. I can have a teammate in Asana. I can have so. I try generally to just keep things simple and consolidate and not have too many app switching, right? At the end of the day, that's what Asana sort of was built for. So I'm not switching from Excel and Word and email and apps. I kind of have everything in one tool. But I think, as we're moving, we're moving into this agentic era, that maybe one tool isn't good for everything, right? And we're open to the fact that, sure, we're going to have other tools on the side to do various things.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we're already there in terms of how we use tools. I think,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, you use Asana for CRM. I use Asana for CRM. You have Salesforce. You have HubSpot. You have folks who would have, Pipedrive
Yeah.
and HubSpot and Salesforce and Asana, and they'll have, let's say, Notion.
Mm.
All of those same tools. I know big enterprises will have all of the same tools
Mm.
and pay for licenses for multiple people. And they all can do a little bit of everything. If you say, hey, I want to track new customers coming in, you'll have to say, okay, tell me more, because all of those things can do that. Even Asana, which isn't built for that, but now you can do that, and they all
Right.
have AI offerings, they all have AI connections. So
Good.
I think we've always lived in a world where we had tools that can do almost the same work, but it's finding how much more efficient can it be. And I think for smaller companies, you could say, okay, I can lose a little bit of efficiency, but it's not a big deal. It totals up to maybe 20 hours in a year or 50 hours in a year. But if you're a large company, it totals up to 50,000 hours in a year. Then you're like, okay, it's worth paying
Yeah.
that extra. So I would say that's my take.
I think that's, I mean, trying to show the value of these tools is also, hard, I think. Sometimes, like, AI teammates, AI Studio, it's not an easy sell, and it's not maybe for everyone at the end of the day, right? There are customers and customers, right? There's organizations that are AI ready, which means, they have already processes in place. So you have a solid foundation to install AI on top. But there are loads of customers that I work with that are still working with Excel, right? There's barely any, cloud-based tools. It's 365 or Google Workspace and Google Sheets or Excel and nothing else, right? So, bringing AI, you need to do all the groundwork first before you even bring AI into it. So I think that's why I think, sales and like Copilot we're seeing are not, selling to enterprises as much because they're just not ready for it, or they don't maybe see the value yet. And I'm talking like day to day, right? Day to day usage of AI. And don't get me wrong, they're amazing what we can do with these tools, but it's also education, it's training, and it's almost like catch up because it's just moving incredibly fast.
Yeah. We're all in the trial process, and we're
Yeah.
it's a long trial process because it's a big thing. Right? If you
Yeah.
think about AI, when I when I first, when did we all start using ChatGPT? 2022,
End of 22.
2023?
Yeah. 10.
And I was like, okay, we have a faster Google search, more comprehensive, but now we're starting to think about, not we're starting, but a lot of folks have moved on to, okay, agentic AI. We have open cloud, which is going to change how we think about just AI and all the connections. You have, Lovable, the replets, and all that vibe coding. I wrote my first JavaScript code the other day. I was pretty proud. I was like, why am I coding? And even better, even funnier, I should say, not better. I'm like, I don't understand most of this, but I understand all of this. And
Okay.
what I mean by that, I didn't get the details of like what's in the code, but I knew what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And I had a few iterations, and I'm like, yes, this one's going to do it. So once I deployed that code and it did what I wanted,
What
that's a
was it?
whole
What
other.
was the code doing?
So,
Can you
oh,
share?
I can't give all my secrets now.
Okay.
Um, no, essentially, what I was doing is creating. I was creating an automated follow-up system. It's still not complete. So it's complete the first phase, but I'm essentially building automation on my email follow-ups and how emails get organized and where they're added and how they're filtered. And folks who don't know this about me, um, I use Gmail. I love Asana, but I still use Gmail. I still filter through Gmail. I still like have great Gmail hygiene, and I know it's a place where people still talk. So while I was at Asana, obviously we only spoke internally through Asana and with clients outside of Asana on email. But it's a place that folks still talk. And as a business owner now, I'm like, okay, I need to talk to my clients in Gmail. And while I have rules in Asana that automates things with, I don't have a big team, but with the two people that I work with, it's like, okay, cool. Nothing gets missed. But in Gmail, you have all these different things, and you could have telemarketing, you could have junk, or you could send someone a message, and it's an ongoing conversation that there's no task, there's nothing that needs to be done, but
Hmm.
you need to stay on top of it. So that's what I'm building. I'm building a follow up system. So happy to chat more with it, to chat more about it with you because I'm sort of proud of it. It when I tell you it's not gonna be too crazy, but I've just given you most of it. So
Sounds interesting though. We could
yeah,
check it out.
we need to follow up. That's it. We
Yeah.
need to follow up with people we've reached out to. And if you're now a salesperson, you say, hey, I reached out to this person a few weeks ago
Yep.
to see where it's going, or this person did something great for me. Right? Not, it doesn't have to be just sales. Someone did something great for me. Hey, I want to remember them. And if you can build the bots to remind you, to draft for you, to email for you, maybe that's the extreme for me. I'm still thinking like,
Yeah.
how far do I go? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So for anyone who's a client and in the audience, I'm not automating email messages from the bots now, but I can't say I will never do it. But that's what we were talking about, right? Having it learn how I speak, having it learn what I care
Mm.
about will help us get closer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with it drafting, but not hitting the send button for me. I mean, I'm not comfortable with that. I need to, check what time of day it is. Maybe it was just a holiday. You want to say happy holidays or something, like they'll probably get really good at that as well. But I still feel it just, what are we going to end up doing at the end of the day, right? I mean, like, you mentioned before, open cloud, what's it called? The,
Yes, open
yeah,
collaborate.
yeah, I just heard about it last week. My friend Bastian that I mentioned earlier told me about it. He said, yeah, I sent a WhatsApp message. I told it what to do. I got home. And then I was looking at my computer thinking, what should I do now? Like, it did everything for him by the time he arrived home. So I don't know, Carl. I'm still, like I think every tool that comes in and a new era, like a new, well, it's almost like a next industrial revolution, really, this, um, is just being, very careful with how we use these tools and why we're using them and how they're actually helping us. Um, yeah, it's just, you can always take things too far, but then, if AIs are just emailing each other, then what's the point, right?
Yeah, and I love emailing folks, or I love conversations with folks, whether it's over text or in person. So yeah, I am holding the pause button on send too, because I'll add something extra. I'll add a PS. I'll add something in parentheses. If you get emails from me, you've probably seen some parentheses or some extra context that is not even relevant. But I'm like, oh, I know this person would enjoy this, or I'm even taking a guess that this person
Yeah.
will enjoy this. So
I think something like human at the end of the day. And I think, I was joking around with a friend of mine the other day, but, it's almost like, like in the movies, they say no animals were harmed, like during, like at the bottom of the email, no AI was used, to write this email.
right.
I think after so much AI generate, and AI slop that's out there, right? All these videos, all this content that I think, hopefully, what we'll see in the next years is demand for human generated content again, hopefully, because and like an architect, or we are sort of designers, artists, graphic designers that are in the field that I work with, who have been tremendously impacted, and architect friends that I speak to now, and I've kind of missed this sort of AI train in the architecture industry, how it's completely changed things, and I'm as a creator, let's say, I'm very close to human created content. I'd like to still see, and not because it there I feel like it's prompting is just like a shortcut for lazy people to produce
Well,
something and get rewarded for it or feel proud of it. Like it's just not the same thing, right?
there's the philosophical question as to like what's the point? Like, well, I mean, why are we doing it in the first place? Then, if the reason why we're doing it in the first place isn't to have some big impact, maybe it's fine to be rewarded for it. Maybe because at the end of the day, we're all trying to pay rent and
Mm-hmm.
get that great island vacation. So maybe I misunderstood what you said, but
Well,
I'm not against folks being rewarded for using shortcuts, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, as a person, do you feel like I use AI like to create some scripts in Asana, right? We have custom scripts on
Yeah.
available and enterprise tiers, and we don't do this for customers. For customers, we build handwrite scripts because I think it's just superior quality still to any AI generated script. But I'll generate my own scripts for my own space, and I won't lie, like the first script that actually ran, I was like, wow, look at that. I felt, rewarded, proud that, look at that. But, and you could, someone could argue, yeah, but, you could have had your dev buddy do it and pay him a few bucks for it, right? So it's very strange. Like it's giving everyone a tool that's incredibly powerful to do things that like I said before, I couldn't imagine writing a script or a code. I'm clueless. And like you said before, like, you read that. I don't even read the script. I don't, it's just gibberish to me, right? So as long as I hit, run and it works, I'm good. But so it's a two-way,
Yeah. I see what you're saying now. I see what you're saying now. It was mainly gibberish to me, I would say. But then I was like, I need this one thing. And you don't know me well enough. There's like this one thing I might need. And in the grand scheme of thing, it might not be important, but I wanted it. So then I had to go line by line. You get
really? Okay.
error. Oh, I
But
didn't have to go line by
but you're
line.
familiar
But
with JS.
With what?
With
With
JavaScript.
JavaScript?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
I copied and pasted the different scripts. So we're getting much deeper than I wanted here, but um, essentially I was doing different iterations, trying to get different things, and every time I would copy and paste it. I wouldn't just like paste the new definition or the new code. I would just continue to copy and paste and save it somewhere. And I got to the
Right.
last iteration where I'm like, okay, this is the type of email I want to exclude, and I want to include this, and I want to remove these days, and I want to do this and that. And then it didn't run. It was like,
Yeah.
boop, didn't break when just when I thought I
Well,
had it right. So then I was like, okay. Luckily for me, I copied and pasted version 2, 3, 4. There's a history there too, but I did it the old school way of like, okay, line by line. Where did the line? Well, I skipped line. The lines are numbered, so I'm like, okay, let's go. When does it start looking very different? And at line
okay, so you
23
got
or whatever it was.
into the weeds there because I mean, I just told the AI, hey, I'm getting this error. What gives? What's the problem? Oh, sorry, Richard, for the oversight. You're right.
Yes.
And so like when you do the first time, but I had to feed it like a lot of API documentation, and I know a few things about the API as well. You need some some basics there to feed it the right prompt. But yeah, it took a while, but once you got there, it was like, wow, look at that. So.
And I was using Gemini for it. So Gemini did do that. Oh yeah, sorry we missed this. But I was like, okay, you know what's good? And this brings it back to how humans are, we're powerful. We made these AI models. Obviously they can work faster. It's the
Mhm.
scaling and
Yeah.
the ability to create all sorts of new things from what we've taught them, right? But once I was able to understand, oh, okay, this is the example that it gave me. Now, if I'm waiting every time to ask it to add something new, and it might be a little wrong, the more I understand, the more I can just make the edits in
Yeah.
there and I can be faster. And what this might be a Gemini thing. I didn't use Cloud Code or anything like that. I'm not that geeky yet. Um, it wasn't consistent in how the different versions. So anyway, we're gonna drop AI. I had too much AI these last 3 weeks. We are going to kind of bring it home here, and this is a question I like to ask folks. But this is something that I think is really um, you'll have a great answer to. I should say this is a question I think you'll have a great answer to because you
Okay, no
have
pressure.
possibilities. You work in a sign. What?
No pressure.
No pressure, or maybe you'll surprise me, right? The positive way. Either you'll have a great answer or you'll surprise me. We're not gonna use negative words here. Um, is your work handoffable, right? Like when I think of people who are creating in Asana and are creating process for clients, I think they have their work is documented,
Hmm.
is in a process that could be followed. And what I mean by handoffable, I was having this conversation with someone before I started my business, and they were like, "Yeah, I make sure my work is handoffable." And they said this out of like out of nowhere. They made it like if I wasn't here or if I got sick, I could pass it on to someone without leaving them detailed instructions about here's what's going on here. But the work itself has kind of that built-in clarity in how it's created, and you can learn it on your own way, right? So I hope that that's clear.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah.
you have
No,
questions?
absolutely. Well, I mean, I guess we're going into like SOPs and manuals and like if I'm not available, someone's able to follow the process and do it. Yeah, absolutely, Carl. I'm a geek, right? I'm an Asana geek. Of course, I've geeked out on processes, and yeah, we've mapped out processes so that someone takes over that role one day. It's can we say dummy proof without meaning that they're dummies, but just yeah, I mean super clear on what the steps are. Now, can everything get done? Maybe not. Maybe some things are still in my head, but definitely that's the goal, right? I mean, and I think every company that does that adds incredible value to their company because their company is how what do we say? Handoverable? What was it?
Handoffable.
Handoffable.
Handoffable. Yeah.
So if a company is handed off or bought out, and those processes are mapped out, that's incredible value as well. But I think it also, not that everyone wants to sell their company, but for the employees or people working there, I think it shows a very it's a very positive thing, right? It shows that the company's serious, they're organized, and not chaotic. Because no one, maybe some people thrive off chaos, but I don't. But just knowing, am I doing it right? We're doing it the best way, and more importantly as well, it's not an SOP that we just throw onto the cloud and forget about it there, but it's something that we constantly evolve and improve, because and I find myself doing that, right? I've the more automation I'm adding, the more scripts I'm adding, I've been crossing off step 7, no need anymore. Zapier takes care of that, right? And so I've got quite a lot crossed out in the recent months with Zapier or AI, and then we'll clean up those SOPs.
That's awesome. Well, I am going to give you this reaction. It's very small at the bottom here.
Oh yeah.
You can see them. You are the first person to answer this as your work is handoffable on unboxing work.
Awesome.
I've had some pretty honest folks, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't think my work's handoffable." They would be confused. Whoever took over, that is. But sounds like your work is handoffable, and you're actually shortening it and then reducing steps to make it even more handoffable. Now, closing in on 2 questions. This second to last one might be a little hard since you switched careers and you loved what you did, but you really love what you're doing now, and you're still building. If you weren't doing the work that you're doing now, what would you be doing? And you cannot pick architecture. You can't say you were an architect. So
tough one. Can I say Formula One driver, something crazy like that?
is it realistic? Were you a driver at some point?
Well, not realistic now, but if I was starting to do go-karting at 6 years old, like most of these guys do, then yeah, it would have been realistic.
If I changed my entire life.
Yeah, then I probably wouldn't have had time for Legos and all this. It's not something I think about, Carl, because I'm happy where I am and no regrets. So yeah, I don't think I could pick something, not something that I've thought about.
That's awesome, Richard. That is a great answer. It might not be a sexy answer, right? It's an
I
awesome
know,
answer.
yeah, sorry to disappoint anyone. Yeah, but I'm happy where I am. I'm happy with what I'm doing. So there's no time to think of what I would be doing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna bring it home with this last one. If we were to ask your friends, what is your superpower? What would they say that superpower is, Richard?
This is a tough one because I don't like, believe it or not, we've been talking about kind of like me, I guess, but I don't like speaking on behalf of others. But if I had to say something, I guess patience, I guess, would be one. I am a patient person. I think that comes across with customers as well. Like, and I use Teams as well. And I really wish Teams, I could have a pointer sometimes, like in Zoom. My Zoom buddies tease me for preferring Teams. But, when you say, yeah, it's just up there. No, your mouse just up. Yeah, no, top right. Yeah, over there. And, and they click something wrong and we got to go back and they didn't save. But I'm like super patient. I don't get aggravated or, you got to stay calm and cool. So they feel comfortable, like, they're not, messing anything up. I think I'm patient. I think I'm generous with my time, with money. Like spending it with other people, trips, holidays, things like that. One superpower, okay. One then, patience, I guess.
I mean, you give some good ones, at least for others. Others are saying, hey, this is a patient, generous person. The audience will be in your DMs after this one.
Cool,
Go
cool.
ahead.
Sorry.
Is it going? Were you gonna add one more? It sounded like you were gonna add one more.
Should we make it three? Give me a sec. We'll cut this part out.
It's all good. It's all good. You gave two. I was asking for one, so you,
Yeah, okay. We'll stick to one then. That's
yes,
good.
we'll stick one. Thank you, Richard. It was an amazing session. Really enjoyed having you here. Really enjoyed picking your brain. I enjoyed all the authenticity and sharing your processes, sharing your background and things that you're interested in, and your views on AI and the tech space. So great to have you here. Looking forward to another conversation with you.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you,
Carl. This
folks.
is great. This is great. Awesome questions. Really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.